We've got to start maxing out the ROI on our energy. We've got to start maximizing the ROI on our energy. I was just thinking about this the other day, how there's kind of an old cliche phrase: show me the closest five people to you, and I'll show you your future. Or who you surround yourself with, in 5 years, that's who you're going to be, on and on. But the reason why I remembered those sayings was the more I'm learning around, really, this starts getting into quantum physics and subatomic particles and how they're basically every physical thing at its most component part is just energy and information vibrating in a very, dense posture. Well, on a much, much simpler level, you got to think, if the people closest to you, I'm not talking about a bad day, a bad week, a bad quarter, if for years they've demonstrated a certain pattern of behavior that is objectively dysfunctional. I don't mean you like chocolate ice cream, they like vanilla. I'm talking, well, I'll just pray you guys have wisdom and discernment to know what I mean. People engaging in self harming behavior, maybe gaslighting, maybe manipulation, projecting their issues onto others, blame shifting, not taking accountability, that kind of stuff. Playing the victim, always. Well, if those are the kind of people you're investing a lot of your energy in, those type of people serve more as a drain of energy, not an amplifier. So the problem is, here in real life, those people could have roles that society would tell you, well, that's family. What can you do? These certain postures that suggest that because of a title or a status they hold from a social construct, that somehow null and voids all sort of accountability or requirement for health or bearing their own um, load. Like, we bear each other's burdens, but we're not called to bear each other's loads. You, as an individual, have been given a finite amount of time and energy to execute a purpose for your life. And so, if all that you're doing is draining the time and energy to do the things you're supposed to do for somebody else who refuses to do the minimum things they're supposed to do, there is no title that overrides that requirement. But this is where we're being called to mature. Because I'll be honest, it's not an easy, it's not an easy path to traverse. because people who tend to stay in a posture of forfeited responsibility are really not inclined to see you stop over pouring into them. And so they're not going to go out without a fight. You're going to get the guilt trips. You're going to get the manipulation. Why are you so mean now? After all the things I've done for you, how could you do this to me? And see, through the years when I found myself in dynamics like this, the onus is on me. I can't blame a toddler for doing what a toddler would do. And I don't mean this disrespectfully. I mean this just subjectively. That would be considered a childish posture. So, what do childish people do? They act childish. So, if I am on a journey of maturation, well, the onus is on me. If I, no matter the dynamic, if I'm the only one demonstrating an adult mindset, regardless of chronological age, just some level of emotional maturity, well, I cannot now then shrink myself to the child's level and then act frustrated because I can't understand why a child is acting like a child. So, what I must do is hold the frame of the adult, which can be, like I said before, very difficult because there's a lot of interpersonal relationship dynamics at play. But my whole point of this, y'all, when I say we've got to maximize the ROI on our energy, what happens is if you can fight through the season of recalibration, almost like a plane taking off through a heavy barrier of clouds, when you finally break through, you realize there is always the sun, no matter how gray the skies look. Look, skies look gray because of that barrier. So when you fight through and there's going to be turbulence as the clouds are bouncing off the wing of the plane and all this, but when you finally break through, beautiful sunshine, gorgeous, gorgeous view. And what that represents is the recalling of your energy back to yourself. Not so that you can be selfish, not so that the whole world just bends to your fleeting whims. And no, it's now you actually have the capacity to execute on the ways you were uniquely designed to serve the world. So I don't pretend to make it sound easy. It's not, because oftentimes these are people that we love, people that we care about. But nobody will do this work for us. So if we're to live a life of impact, you have to make sure those closest to you are demonstrating a consistent ability, not perfection, but a consistent ability to take accountability for their lives, that they are stewarding their energy at minimum in a functional way. Because if those closest to you are committed to dysfunction and you are committed to staying close to those people, you yourself are the only one to blame for the artificial cap you put on the potential of your life. So, look, I know, like I said before, this is not easy, but my aim is just to be an encouragement that if you find yourself traversing this kind of terrain, you're not alone and you're not doing it in vain. please keep going, because the world at large needs your energy, your unique set of experiences, and your willingness to put that forth to serve those around you who can receive it, not let those who don't appreciate it drain it for their own lack of dealing with their things. So, look, every time I show up on your feed, my only aim is to give y'all something to feed on. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.